Hello, good morning. My name is Mary Chris Collis from BS English 3, and I'm going to discuss to you the psychomotor domain, which is one of the three types of learning by Benjamin Bloom. But before that, let's discuss first the program learning outcomes. Program learning outcomes, what is it? It is a description of knowledge, competencies, and values students display at the end of the program. It helps students understand why this knowledge and these competencies will be useful to them. The program has three types of learning. Benjamin Bloom in 1956 identified domains of educational activities: the cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor. Okay, program outcomes and student learning outcomes. In the past years, teachers were often heard about their concern to finish their subject matter before the end of the term. Maybe it is because of the number of their students or failure to clarify the desired learning outcomes. Teacher learning outcome was secondary to the completion of the plan content to the subject. That means teachers were more content-centered than outcome-centered. Okay. Learning outcomes are what students are supposed to demonstrate after instruction. Learning outcomes are a statement of what a student will be able to do as a result of a learning activity. They are specific, measurable, clear, and accessible statements that define what a student is able to do at the end of the course or completion of the program. So next, we're going to tackle about the psychomotor domain. What is psychomotor domains? It is refer to how the brain's mental processes affect physical movement. By contrast, you may exhibit accelerated psychomotor activities such as fidgeting or making repetitive movements like what I'm doing now during a manic episode when your energy level is high. Other mental activities such as reading may be a part of the observation process. Attempted copying of a physical behavior. The second step in learning a psychomotor skill, the learner is observed and given direction and feedback on performance. Movement is not automatic or smooth. Furthermore, what is meant by psychomotor skills? Psychomotor skills are primarily movement tasks that lead individuals to learn about their environment. In the associative stage, movement are more automatic for individuals, but they are not yet permanent. Refinement through practice occurs during the autonomic stage. Okay. So here is the example. In category fundamental movement, you can do basic movements such as walking or grasping. For example and keywords or verbs are perform a simple task. Then the keyword is grasp an object or throw a ball or walk, like that. What is the purpose of psychomotor domain? Psychomotor domain is one of the learning domains publicized in Bloom's taxonomy, of course. Benjamin Bloom headed a group of educational psychologists whose goal was to develop a system categories of learning behavior to assist in the design and assessment of educational learning. And its objectives are concerned with how a student controls or moves his body, emphasize some muscular or motor skills such as use of precision instruments or tools or athletic performance. For example, like typing 25 words per minute, printing letters correctly, painting a picture, or dribbling a basketball. Its objective are specific to physical function, reflex action, and body movement to interpret information and learn. It implies that a physical action supports or it is vehicle for cognitive growth and furthering knowledge or skills. The learner uses physical action to achieve cognitive or affective objectives. For example, you looked through a microscope and drew up the cell structure. The intent was to identify what you see. Okay? Also, psychomotor objectives are a statement of student outcomes in a lesson or unit which pertain to skills improvement or physical fitness development. Well, written psychomotor objectives explain what skills or fitness accomplishment students will demonstrate as a result of the lesson or unit. Okay, the psychomotor domains has been revised over the years by Dave 1970, Harrow 1972, and Simpson 1972. However, each has its uses and advantages. There's three contribution have been reorganized and simplified. In this table, this time let's discuss the categories or levels of learning in the psychomotor domain. Okay, it is composed of 4 categories. They observing, imitating, practicing, and adapting. Okay, first, the observing. This is the active mental attention to a physical event. The outcome verbs are watch, detect, distinguish, differentiate, describe, relate, and select. There are outcome statements: detect non-verbal communication, cues, watch as more experienced person, observe and read direction. So this time, when you are observing, when you are if you want to know the direction of something, or you want to know the steps of something, first you have to observe first, or just read the book so you can create in your mind what to do. Next is the imitating. This is to attempt to copy a physical behavior. Their verbs are begin, explain, move, display, proceed, react, show, state, or volunteer. Their outcome statements show understanding and do sequence of steps with assistance. So in imitating, by this time you are understanding the steps of what you want to do. Of course, you're ready to imitate. So by you are done with observing, then you will go to imitating. You can also recognize one's limitation. Okay. Next, in practicing, this time you are performing a specific activity or task. So this time you are doing it. Their outcome verbs are bend, calibrate, construct, differentiate, dismantle, display, fasten, fix, grab, screen, handle, measure, mix, operate, manipulate, mend on, etc. Their outcome statements is to operate quickly and accurately. So this time you are doing it accurately. Display competence while performing. This time you are competent enough. No, not just enough. You are practicing to be competent. Your performance is moving towards becoming automatic and smooth. So this time your eagerness to be a master is there. So next is the adapting. Okay, and adapting, fine-tuning the skills and making minor adjustments to attain perfection. The verb is to organize, relax, shorten, sketch, write, rearrange. This time you can rearrange. You can compose, create, design, and originate. Okay? And their outcome statements are perform automatically. This because you are already adapting. So this time you don't need someone to direct you to like giving you instruction to do something. Construct a new scheme sequence, apply skill in new situation. So if you are adapting, you're learning and driving is like you are mastering, so you can apply your skills in new situation. You know how to like adjust something if something happened to your car. You are being master in not just the driving, also the parts of being a driver. You can also create a new routine and develop a new program. Okay, the above category is the combination of all taxonomy recommended by Simpson and Dave also Harrow. The taxonomy of educational objectives from the work of Professor V.S. Bloom and his colleagues has given us a sound base for the formulation of our objectives. A sound system of education should be able to produce graduates who have lots of knowledge and are able to understand much of it and are able to apply their knowledge and engage in those mental barriers referred to critical thinking, reflective thinking, and problem solving. In physical activities or abilities, its objectives should be related to endurance, flexibility, agility, strength, reaction response time, or dexterity. Physical abilities are essential to efficient motor activity. They are concerned with the strength of a person and allow individuals to meet the demands placed upon them and by the environment. Okay? So why they reorganize or simplify the levels of learning? Because Simpson has I think 7 categories. Others are 5, others 6. So these levels categories can be helpful in developing learning outcomes. But because certain verbs are particularly appropriate at each level and not appropriate at other levels, but some verbs are useful in multiple levels. So maybe they realize that let's just be simplified, because some verbs are not appropriate in some particular verb. So and they simplified it with 4 categories only. The observing, imitating, practicing, and adapting. Okay, the following example is given to you to understand more about the categories of the levels of learning. By this time, learner wants to know how to drive. So go. We have 4 categories. So how can we apply this in learning how to drive? Okay. In observing categories, the learner watches a more experienced person. Other mental activities such as reading may be a part of the observation process. In this level, the learner observes the action of the person on how to drive. Okay, I will give you my experience about this. I enrolled to TESDA for driving school NC2, and the first step where you will just have to understand what you are going to do. First, the instructor will give you the steps, the parts of the car. It's like that. They are explaining what to do. So in this time, you are just learning. You are just observing. You are just listening to them what they are talking, and the next step were imitating. So this time, the first step in learning a skill. So this is the first step in learning the skill. The learner is observed and given direction and feedback or performance. This time, the instructor giving you direction. So in my experience, the driver let me sit in the front seat, and he was driving. So in this level, the learner directly copy action scene, replicate what's directly observed. So that time he told me to just watch him how to drive. So in the next next round, I will be the driver na. So that time I am imitating him. For example, if the instructor direct you to align the car seat, this time you can align your own car seat exactly as advised by the driving instructor. So you are imitating now. The next one is practicing. The skill is repeated over and over. The entire sequence is performed repeatedly. So in my first round in driving, I was so shocked because in just imitating the driver, I think I observed only 10 to 15 minutes. So if you are really want to learn, you will do what is directed by, you will do what is directed to you. Okay, by this time, movement is moving towards becoming automatic and smooth. So that time, when I know how to drive na, I keep on driving so that I can be a master. The learner is able to produce activity by instruction and do it repeatedly. A repetitive activity and making sure that you're doing it right. So, next is the adapting. The skill is perfected. By this time, you can say that you are perfect, because a mentor or a coach is often needed to provide an outside perspective on how to improve or adjust as needed for situation. In this level, the learner will automate skill. Best example is passing a practical driving test by independently driving satisfactory. So by this time, of course, I enrolled TESDA, I practice, I'm adapting it, and I pass the driving test. Okay, I will give you some conclusion about the topic. Okay, learning is an integral part of every individual's life. It is very key to growth and development, and hence requires the need for both students and teachers to be committed to the process. It is further necessary to ensure that the delivery of learning combines generally different phases which have been identified to the domains of learning. Okay, the psychomotor domain includes physical movement, coordination, and use of motor skills areas, and I believe that ability has a big in learning. Ability has a big part in learning process of psychomotor domain. What I mean is the cognitive domain ability has a big part in learning process of psychomotor domain, because when mind thinks, your body will work. Okay, the given examples were best to understand the topic, and I believe it would be helpful. Where we all believe that psychomotor is more on motor skills. In this topic, facts are being presented and will help you to understand the topic more. Okay, thank you so much, and hope you understand my discussion about the psychomotor domain of Bloom's taxonomy by Bloom. Thank you so much, and goodbye.